816-412-6299. Located off 435 and State Line and in Gladstone. 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics.
Hi there, I'm Gary Joslin, and I'm at Sports Radio 810 today, talking to my friends that have helped me find you as customers for my jewelry store. What we appreciate most is the fact that you recommend us to all your friends and family. That's how Joslin has grown. With word-of-mouth recommendations, we're up to 190,000 repairs through the front door, and we've built our reputation. One jewelry repair
1 minute.
Go for everything from a small jewelry repair to a once-in-a-lifetime purchase of a diamond engagement ring. At Joslin's, it's the right diamond, the right price, and the right mom-and-pop jewelry store to do business with. Come see us today, 95th in Antioch, 435 in Antioch. Go north 1 mile, or joslinsjewelry.com.
Joslin's Jewelry, for the best that's yet to come.
Flu season is still active, and you can fend off the flu with 5 easy action items. Start with avoiding close contact with sick people and stay at home if you are sick. Secondly, wash your hands frequently for 20 seconds at a time. Thirdly, remember to cover your coughs or sneezes. Also, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and your mouth. And the number 1 action item, get your flu shot. This message brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Anthem Foundation.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott. He's Kirk. We're the racing boys. Todd Surprise helping us back here. And we've got a lot of help going on right now. Kirk, we've got a really good show lined up today. We have got the $1 million winner from Eldora, Logan Schuchart, is going to be on the show with us today. How about that?
How about that?
Yeah.
This is before he won last night.
Right, yeah.
So we talked to him on Monday on Mostly Motorsports.
That was a thrilling victory last night, wasn't it? It looked like Brad Sweet was going to win that race. But at the last second, Logan Schuchart ran him down through 3 and 4, did a cut under, and passed him at the line and beat him by, what was it, 7 thousandths of a second? Something like that.
Right at the line.
Right at the line.
I don't know how close it was, but Brad Sweet said he'd hit the cushion up there in turn 3 and packed the wheel full of mud, and it started vibrating. He was questioning whether he'd even make it back to the checkered flag. He had a hell of a lead in that race.
He also said that he had a lot of wheel spin towards the end of the race. He said he had a lot of wheel spin, and it just ended up beat right there at the line, man. Can you imagine that, getting beat right at the line?
And he had such a big lead in that race.
He did. He had a remarkable lead at one point.
Well, he got one more chance to do it again tonight. We'll see if Sweet can top off the Summer Nationals Saturday night show after losing by, and that's such a big win for Logan Schuchart. He's from Pennsylvania, and that was his first outlaw win at Williams Grove Speedway.
Yeah.
So that was big.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let's talk about the $1 million win that he won. What'd you think of that race, Kurt?
He led all 50 laps. I thought there would be more lead changes during the race.
Mm-hmm.
The track was not as good on the bottom as it was on the top, even though you needed to be on the inside if you were the leader on those restarts, which Logan Schuchart was. And there were only 3 restarts. He had that bad wreck, right after the break for fuel and tires that collected Kyle Larson.
They did that on lap 23, didn't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, they were able to run to the checkered flag with no stoppages at all, and Schuchart had a pretty sizable lead there at the end over Carson Macedo.
Well, is Logan Schuchart the hottest driver in sprint car racing right now, you think?
I was going to say Carson Macedo was the hottest driver up until then because of the performances that he'd made, but right now you'd have to put Logan Schuchart up there after his win last night.
I think Logan Schuchart is the driver to beat right now.
You know what's crazy about that?
Right.
Logan Schuchart and his teammate Jacob Allen, neither one made the show on Saturday night for the Kings Royal. They
Right.
didn't make it in.
Right.
But Landon Myers, the third Shark Racing car, did make it in to the feature event. But who would have thought after Thursday night that neither Logan Schuchart or Jacob Allen would make the A main on Saturday night's Kings Royal?
Brad Sweet has a 12-point lead over David Gravel, and he's 32 points ahead of Carson Macedo. And Logan Schuchart is 206 points out. Can he run him down, do you think?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I think this is a three-man race right now. I think Brad Sweet, Carson Macedo, and
David
Gravel are the three guys who can win this championship.
Yeah.
Big
No.
win for Donnie Schatz on Saturday night, though. The race that you and I and everybody thought was going to get rained out, they got it in. Donnie Schatz started on the pole and ran away with it on a very heavy racetrack that had sopped in a lot of rain during the day.
Well, that racetrack was really non-typical that night. It was pretty rough and rugged, wasn't it?
Well, I'm glad they even able to get it in. I mean, how much rain did they get there? A couple of inches?
Well,
rained all day.
All I know is that I was there that morning, and they were calling for rain the entire day. And what did I do, Kirk?
You bailed out.
I bailed out. I came back. And I made it in time to get back and watch the race that night.
Because you thought it was going to be raced on Sunday.
I thought it was going to be a race on Sunday. And the reason I left is because I just thought that, Kirk, how many RVs did you see out there?
Thousands upon thousands, it seems.
It was just a city of RVs.
That's the biggest campground of RVs that I've ever seen.
Right. And so, and my thought was the next morning when everybody got up, there was going to be a sea of RVs trying to leave that place. And I didn't want to have any
You didn't want to get missed in the. You're more worried about the traffic than the race itself.
The traffic. Yeah.
Well, it was amazing that they got the show in. And, hats off to the track crew for getting that track together to put that on, because if you're at a racetrack and it rains all day from morning to late afternoon, you're thinking there's no way
they're going to get that race in.
But they did.
And it was raining really hard that morning when I left.
Yeah.
It was raining pretty hard.
And the race didn't really run all that late. They got on the racetrack, an hour late maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
And they still got done in a decent hour, but there's no curfew at Eldora Speedway, so they were prepared to run that thing into the wee hours of the morning if they had to.
Yeah.
Big crowd. Man, the crowds at Eldora Speedway were enormous.
Giant crowds. Record-breaking crowds.
And that's a great atmosphere. If you've never been to Eldora Speedway, you got to go. That is one-of-a-kind facility.
You know, it's amazing how people take police tape and mark off their areas up there on the hill, isn't it?
They bring their chairs.
They bring their chairs.
Comfortable lawn chairs to sit in the corner. You know, that's not a bad view. I watched the races from 3 and 4 the first two nights, and you got a pretty good view of what's going on up there. Those are good seats.
Yeah. I was down in the pits helping out Blake Hahn for the weekend. That's kind of what I did.
Giving him a hand.
Yeah, I didn't really do too much, but I just did a little bit, just to kind of help out a little bit whenever I can, It's always fun to help Blake. He's a good kid.
He is. Easy to root for Blake Hahn.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
He was kind of right in the middle of the, about halfway down in terms of speed and performance and the way he qualified. So with 80-some cars, he was right towards the middle of the pack, which is not bad when you consider Blake is just kind of getting going with this 410 racing. He's raced a lot of 360 stuff, won championships in the ASCS National Tour. But,
Right.
I think they're starting to get it figured out, and a lot of big races, including Knoxville coming up, that he should do pretty well.
You know, Kirk, when we sit back and we take a look at these point standings, Brad Sweet, David Gravel, Carson Macedo, is it not hard to pick David Gravel because he's got 9 wins?
Well, I also think Carson Macedo is firmly back into the mix, and he's running as well, if not slightly better than David Gravel. I know that David Gravel won at Baps Motor Speedway on Wednesday night.
Right.
Thursday night, actually, because they were supposed to run that race on Wednesday night, but it was postponed to Thursday. So David Gravel has won some races. And, of course, his biggest win was that $250,000 to win High Bank Nationals at
Right.
his owner's track, Houston Speedway. So, but you look at Carson Macedo and his performances over the last couple of weeks. I don't think he finished outside the top 2 from when they raced up at Wilmot up in Wisconsin. He had all top 2 finishes at Eldora. And he's a guy right now, despite that terrible crash at Knoxville, and not 100% in the race car coming back from that. He's firmly back into the mix, and that's why I say it's a 3-car battle for this championship between Sweet, Macedo, and Gravel.
Brad Sweet has 6 wins. David Gravel has 9 wins. Carson Macedo has 5 wins. Who do you think is going to end up on top on the wins list?
As far as number of wins,
I think David
would
Gravel.
say probably David Gravel.
Right.
But I still
last
predicting
year,
Sweet to win the championship.
if you remember last year, Carson Macedo had 11 wins, if you remember right, and he didn't win the championship.
I'm still predicting Brad Sweet to win the 5th straight title. He's the champion until he's not.
He is. And you know what? He's a 4-time champion, and he deserves that 5th championship.
Yeah.
Do you think that you think Brad Sweet could ever win 10 championships like Donnie Schatz?
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
He's got too stiff competition now with these.
But he's so
guys that we
consistent,
talked
though.
about.
He's so consistent, though.
To do what Steve Kinzer, who won 20 championships,
Can you
and
imagine
Donnie Schatz
that?
with 10, I don't think anybody's going to touch either of those 2 guys.
Can you imagine Steve Kinzer winning 20 championships?
He was the man for a lot of years.
Oh, he was, for sure. Yeah.
I'm going to head up to Knoxville tonight.
You're going up to Iowa Speedway for the IndyCar race,
First
right?
things first, Iowa Speedway, the first of 2 IndyCar races this afternoon. And I see where Joseph Newgarden, who won the Indy 500, surprise, surprise, he was fast in practice yesterday. I think he's won 4 races at Iowa Speedway,
Right.
including one of the 2 races last year. So, yeah, looking forward to heading up to Iowa Speedway. Love that place.
Kurt,
and race at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Can't wait.
There's a lot of entertainment going on up there as well, isn't there?
They got Carrie Underwood
Today.
as the pre-race show. Kenny Chesney after that, after the race.
Right.
Then tomorrow it's Zach Brown Band and Ed Sheeran before and after tomorrow's race. How about that lineup?
That's a pretty good lineup right there.
Hy-Vee has really put out a lot with IndyCar racing, and I noticed they had a lot of suites, hospitality suites set up there at Iowa Speedway. The venue is set up even more so than what it was last year. They had a big crowd up there last
Right.
year, and I would expect more of the same this
Todd,
weekend.
Ed Sheeran, he's got to be one of the richest men in the world, isn't he?
Oh, you're mentioning 3.
Because he goes up there and plays by himself for the most part.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
he's got a little band. I mean, he's got band. Don't get me wrong, and his production staff. But yeah, I'm sure his check to himself is a fat one when he goes on tour.
Right.
Man, you talk about. There's probably going to be some there's going to be some VIPs today rolling around in Iowa because the IndyCar, you get 2 races. That brings in all your Indy people, right?
Right.
You get 4 concerts like this,
A wine and cheese crowd.
you're bringing in big time. You're going to have the Learjets rolling in, flying in, coming in to see their guy or gal sing, and then they're going to jump back on their plane and head back. I mean, it's going to be a sight to see this weekend.
Yeah.
Kirk's going to be with all of them.
And
Right.
Ed Sheeran has been named the official starter
I saw that.
of tomorrow's race. And Kirk Ferentz, who's the Iowa football coach, Grand Marshal for Sunday's race. So, boy, you're going to have a lot of big-name dignitaries at the racetrack this weekend. So can't wait to get up there, check that out.
So you're going to leave right after the race?
Right after the
the show.
I'm hoping to make the green flag when I get there.
You've got all your bags packed in the
All
car.
packed, ready to roll.
Ready to roll.
Got to get up there because the green flag's like 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Right. And then what's going on tomorrow?
200. It's the same deal. The two IndyCar points races, and as we talked about, you got Zach Brown Band opening up before the start of the race, and then Ed Sheeran after.
Right.
So
you know
same thing tomorrow.
That 7/8 mile of a track really puts on good racing up there with
Yeah.
the Indy cars, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I stood down the infield and watched them go around the turns last year, and they zip around there pretty quick. Those Indy cars,
Yeah.
pretty good show. Can't wait to get up there.
I've got a few laps up there around Iowa Speedway.
I know you do.
Yeah. Was doing pretty good that day until my motor blew up.
They had an ARCA race up there last Saturday night.
Do you remember when we took J.J. Sonneveld up there to run that ARCA race?
I remember that.
And remember, you had to be in the top 33 to qualify for that race. And we were 33rd, and the last car that come out bumped us out of the race. Do you remember that?
I do recall that. That's been, 10 years ago? How long ago was that?
No, that was probably 07.
Longer ago than I thought.
Yeah,
Time really flies, doesn't it?
right.
I guess you've been out of the ARCA game now for more than a decade, right? When was your last race?
My last race was 07.
Wow, that's 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 4 years before I joined you guys.
Yeah, well, and my last race was when I was 50, if you remember right, and I had that bad wreck down there at Memphis Motorsports Park. Do you remember that, Kurt?
I recall that.
Yeah, that wasn't a fun one.
Involving your old rival at I-70 Speedway.
No, it nothing to do with that anymore. So it was just a bad wreck because I hit the driver's side up against the wall, and it took a lot of steam out of me, to be honest with you. That's when I knew that I was too old to be racing.
But you've never retired.
I've never retired.
You've never said never. That you'll climb back in.
If somebody would offer me a ride, I would race right now, for sure. No doubt about it. All right, so we need to get out of here real quick.
We got William Byron coming up. He's the hottest driver in NASCAR right now.
I thought we were going to do the Logan Schuchart first.
That's in the third segment.
That's the third segment. Second segment is William Byron.
All right, William Byron coming up. Where's he at in the points right now, Kurt?
He's second in points.
Mm-hmm.
Picked up 4 wins already this year, and let me tell you something. If Martin Truex wouldn't have had such a good week last week, I think we'd have been talking to the points leader and the most wins.
He's battling Truex for that regular season championship that has 15 playoff points to the regular season champion, so that's a big deal.
Yep, no
to
doubt.
win that. So William Byron with his 4 wins got a real shot at it.
All right, when we come back, we will have William Byron on the show, and it's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. They'll be racing down at Nevada on August 5th. Kenny Bowers won last night at Electric City Speedway, so good news for Kenny Bowers down there at Electric City Speedway. We'll be right back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
WHB Kansas City. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for Window Nation with a few words about summer. Searing, scorching, sweating, sweltering, blazing, blistering, burning, baking. Feeling the heat? High temps aren't the only thing getting you hot under the collar. Wait till you see your energy bills and your AC repair bills. The solution? I recommend my friends at Window Nation for new energy-efficient windows. Your home stays comfortable and cool. Your energy bill sinks as low as it can go, and your AC will avoid any premature breakdown. Not to mention, although I am, the incredible savings Window Nation is offering right now. With every 2 windows purchased, you'll get 2 free windows. Plus, you'll put 0 down and make 0 payments with 0% interest for 24 months. That could be up to thousands more in savings. So maintain your chill, lower your bill, and get your home filled with new Window Nation windows. Buy 2, get 2 free, and pay nothing for 2 years. Call 866-90NATION or visit them online at windownation.com. Don't miss out. 866-90NATION or go to windownation.com and tell them SSJ sent you.
Hey, does summertime mean more outside activity for you? Walking, biking, golfing, gardening, or anything to soak up the sunshine and fresh air? Sounds great to me, but all this activity means your body needs to be at peak performance plus some extra recovery time. The practitioners at Stretch Zone can keep your body moving and recovering at top levels with their specialized stretching techniques. Check out one of the 5, soon to be 6 locations in Kansas City at stretchzone.com. Are you ready to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Kansas City Zoo Run? It's the Run for the Sea Otters on Saturday, September 23rd. Register today for the 4-mile or 1-mile family fun run and walk. Participants run or walk through the zoo and will enjoy a cool 20th anniversary commemorative finishers medal, a fair trade GoX apparel tee, and free race day admission to the Kansas City Zoo. To register or volunteer online, visit kansascityzoorun.org.
Hen House, your local market for 100 years, has great specials at the Butcher Block, like 85% lean ground beef.
1 minute.
Each day, $4.59 a pound. Boneless beef ribeye steaks, 12 ounces, just $12 each, or choose your own size, $14.99 a pound. How about Prairie Fresh pork loin baby back ribs? They're sold in Cryovac, only $2.99 a pound. And if you want seafood, they have fresh whole Atlantic salmon fillets, only $8.99 a pound. Buy fresh, buy local at Hen House, Casey's Market since 1923.
Family Leisure is finally having our summer sale. Lots of cold and rain before has led to great deals now. Come in now for the best deals of the year. Save hundreds, even thousands on Tropic Seas hot tubs, Leisure Select, Hanneman, and Jensen furniture. Locally owned and operated, shop Family Leisure for the best prices, best products, best selection. Family Leisure's summer sale happening now, where family and fun come together at Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome.
Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and joining us now is Cup Series driver William Byron. William, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, last weekend wasn't the performance that you were looking for. Tell us what happened last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that track's been tough for us in the past. There's definitely no doubt about that as a company, but we had a pretty good car in the beginning of the race, and we got some damage there on pit road, damaged the splitter some, and it definitely hurt us, but I think that overall it's just, been a tough track. So yeah, that was a tough weekend, but we met about it and moved on and feel good about this weekend going to Pocono.
Right, yeah.
Boy, the week before, though, was your 4th win of the year at Atlanta. Even though the race got called short because of rain, you walked out of there feeling really good.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta seems like it's been good to us since the reconfiguration. So it's been fun to go there. The racing is really difficult. It's side by side, 3 wide. So it's been tough to race at that track lately, but I feel like we've just done a good job of knowing what we need in the car and being able to execute good races there, put ourselves towards the front with an opportunity at the end. So it was, certainly a wild race for us because we kind of went from spinning and in the back of the field to up front at the end. But we're glad it worked out.
Man, you're having a stellar year. You're 17 points behind Martin Truex Jr. right now. Man, just tell us what it's like to have such a successful year. You've got 4 wins. Just tell us about this year and what it's meant to you.
I think that's kind of what we work for. I think that always expectations to win multiple races and make it far in the playoffs. But when it all comes together as a team, it's definitely rewarding because it's not guaranteed. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of things to go your way. So we've had things go our way this year. We've had wins that have been, have worked out, and we've put ourselves in position to capitalize. So I'm really proud of our team this year. But at the same time, there's a lot of work still to be done, and there's a lot of tracks that we'd love to be better at. So we want to make sure that we're kind of, honing in on those weaknesses, I guess, and also making sure that we keep the strengths that we have, which is the mile-and-a-half tracks and some of the bigger racetracks.
Right. Kansas Speedway's been pretty good to you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been good for us. I mean, kind of never gotten a win there, but I feel like we always run pretty competitive there.
Yeah.
And that's going to be very important coming up. It's the second race in the playoffs coming up, and you had a top 5 finish there the first time around. Just first of all, how important is it to win that regular season championship? You're in quite a fight right now, but trying to make up for lost points early in the season. That's a big deal to win that regular season championship, is it not?
It is, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that we've tried to focus on it, but ultimately I think that the best thing we can do is just try to go out and perform the best we can. And we're up against tough competition. The 19's been running really well, so I think it's really just trying to put races together one at a time, and we've done a good job of that so far this year. But we need a little bit more speed. We need a little bit more pace at some of these tracks. So hopefully we can get that soon, and we can start to lead more laps because it's been a little bit of a lull with laps led. So just need a little bit more speed, like I said, and hopefully we'll start to chip away back at that lead.
Pocono's coming up this weekend. I'm curious how many times you have to shift at Pocono. How many times do you have to go through the shifter?
I think this weekend we'll just be down to 4th gear. So it'll be pretty traditional gearing for this weekend. So we'll just be between 4th and 5th gear. So I'd say probably once or twice a lap.
Yeah.
You got a pair of 12th place finishes at Pocono last year. How do you improve your performance from a year ago?
I think really just try to execute a really solid race. I think last year we scored some stage points. We were up in the front, and we just had an issue on pit road that we had to come back and pit for. So I think this year we should be a lot better. We should have a good opportunity.
Yeah. We cover a lot of sprint car racing over here at racingboys.com. And last weekend, Kirk and I were at Eldora, and your teammate, he took a heck of a wreck back there, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. It looked like it, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
And he won last night, though, so that's part of
Yeah,
it. But you've been doing a lot of racing on the side as well and being pretty successful, driving your Pavement Late model. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've definitely done more of that the last 2 years. I would say that initiative kind of started with just trying to be a little bit better at the short tracks and trying to improve my craft and know what I need to do in the race car. So it's been a journey to kind of get better at all those things, but I feel like it's helped us a lot. And we still could be better. We still could improve on the short tracks in the Cup Series, but I think that's just knowing kind of what I need in the race car and being able to go out there and execute it.
Right. You had your 200th start on Monday. What's that feel like to have 200 starts in the Cup Series?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't really know what to feel. I feel like it's gone by fast. It's certainly it's a privilege to be in the Cup Series and be able to have that many starts and have some wins to go with it. So it's been going well. We just got to keep it up and keep performing at a high level. The sport is very tough, and you can go from winning to last basically the next week. So it's tough, but we've got a lot of work to do, and hopefully we can keep that performance up.
Let's talk about the relationship you have with your crew chief, Rudy Fugle. You guys got a pretty special relationship going there, don't you?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we've always been close. Going back to the Truck Series, we worked together. And I felt like the first time we sat down and talked about working together, it just clicked, and we knew where one another stood and how we could get the most out of one another. So it's over time, our relationship has evolved. I think when I was in the Truck Series, he was more of a mentor towards me, and I think now we're more equal in how we communicate. But it's been a great process, and we work really well together. We're very honest with each other and open about what the car needs, and we really try to approach it, as just trying to focus on what the car needs to do, and not getting mad at one another.
If there was one thing between a crew chief and a driver, what is the most important thing between the two? If you could put your finger right on it.
Yeah, I think it's just communication. I think it's easy to get off with communication, and I think that's the biggest thing that you can work on. So for us, it's just trying constantly to make sure that we're doing the right things with the car and make sure that we're adjusting correctly. So it's an ongoing process that never ends, but we definitely have to do a good job of those things.
Right.
What'd you think of that street race up in Chicago there a couple of weeks back?
It was fun. Yeah, it was a good race up there. I wish it would have been dry, and on Sunday that would have been a lot more exciting for everyone involved. But it was a really good event.
Yeah. Well, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us here on Track Talk. We appreciate it, and good luck to you down the road here at Darlington this weekend. We'll be
Pocono.
Or Pocono, I should say. Pocono. What did I say?
Darlington.
He
had a win at Darlington.
Yeah, you did win at Darlington. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, Pocono this weekend. So have a good one, and we'll be pulling for you, all right?
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, William.
There you have it. William Byron joining us here on the show. Man, I said Darlington when I meant to say Pocono.
It's because we watched a little bit of B-roll of him winning at Darlington, and
Right.
you had Darlington on the mind.
I just had it on my mind. I don't know what.
And it's very important he won at Darlington because that's the first race of the playoffs coming up.
And he won in Las Vegas, and he won in Phoenix too, right?
So I think he's got a really good shot of winning this title this year. The way it's all set up and the tracks that he's won at, if he can win that regular season championship, he's in quite a fight now with Martin Truex Jr. to get that. That's an extra 15 playoff points. If he can pull that off, you remember they were penalized points-wise early in the season and trying to make that up. And those playoff points are going to be pretty important when they get into that 10-race run beginning on September the 3rd at the Southern 500. At
You know who I'm pulling for the championship this year?
And that would be?
Christopher Bell.
He can do it.
He can do it. He's only 62 points out of the lead right now. Martin Truex is the leader. William Byron is 17 points out. Christopher Bell 62 points.
I don't know what happened to Christopher Bell at New Hampshire. He started on the pole, had issues there.
He went backwards. He was back as far as 29th at one time.
Made it back up to 8th.
Right.
But if he can get his act together like he did last year, and he had a couple of walk-off wins that advanced him on to the next stage, one of which got him to the Final Four last year.
Right.
Based on what he did a year ago, Christopher Bell's, I wouldn't count him out.
No doubt. He is a talented driver. Would you say, Kirk?
Yeah.
We've been watching him for a long time, haven't
He's got the one win at the dirt race at Bristol, so he's into the playoffs. He's solid into there, but he's starting to get his performance level, the way he qualified at New Hampshire.
He's more consistent now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's certainly going to be a player. But I'd have to favor Martin Truex Jr. and William Byron as the two guys that, based on their performance over the whole season, as the guys to beat.
You never can count out Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch.
Or Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott.
Two
Chase Elliott's got to win a race to get in. Right now, Chase Elliott is not in the playoffs.
Kyle Larson is 93 points back right now.
But he's got 2 wins.
2 wins, yeah.
And Chase Elliott's the one guy that we're looking at that I think he's got to win a race. A lot of people think he can get in on points, maybe. But Chase Elliott's got to win over the next few weeks.
Right. So Kyle Larson won last night, huh?
He won that Tuesday night at the Don Martin Memorial Silver Cup at Lernerville Speedway.
Wow.
All-Star event.
How about that? Well, I'm thinking that Larson's going to have a little bit of a hard time getting up through there. He's 93 points back. That's quite a ways back. It's hard to make up 93 points.
And it's hard because if you don't have those playoff points accumulated from the stage points and everything,
right,
you can't afford to have any issues during the 10-race run to the Final Four, actually a 9-race run to the Final Four at Phoenix. Those playoff points are going to be huge
1 minute
when it comes to getting yourself to Phoenix on November the 5th.
You know, what's really surprising to me, Kirk, in the Cup Series is Joey Logano is 10th in points. He's 104 points back right now. And that's non-typical for him, really. Joey Logano is really a stellar driver.
And since he won the championship last year, you can't count him out.
Right.
He's got 1 win at Atlanta early in the year. That was back in March. But, yeah, he's not had the performance that you'd expect him to have at this point.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Track Talk. It's right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. They'll be racing down at Electric City Speedway this weekend. And we'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
WHB Kansas City.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Hey, Joshua Briscoe here to tell you about Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy football. They're hosting the biggest fantasy football tournament of all time, Best Ball Mania 4. $15 million in total prizes with $3 million to first place. The Underdog Fantasy mobile app is super slick, the UI is incredibly clean, and Best Ball is a great format to play. No waivers, no trades, no in-season management. You can set it and forget it. I've already started drafting my best ball teams, and it's the most fun part of fantasy football without all of that week-to-week management, worrying about injuries, not a problem in best ball. The winner of last year's Best Ball Mania drafted their team in July, so what are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com or via the App Store with promo code BRISCOE, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code BRISCOE, BRISCO. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
I'm McCall from Lee Summit Subaru, and we're committed to helping our community through the Subaru Love Promise, like our commitment to Hillcrest Transitional Housing to help solve homelessness. Lee Summit Subaru also sponsors several pet adoption clinics, like Midwest Animal Rescue, and events each year, such as Dogtoberfest. It's all part of the Subaru Love Promise, and we're committed to helping our community fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru. LeeSummitSubaru.com.
Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician. Dick Ray, he's a man on a mission. When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill and precision. Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
I misspoke. Now we have 1 minute.
10-4. 10-4.
It's like it's back to school time, and Staples has great prices on everything you need for school. Save on markers and crayons. Save on notebooks and folders. And right now at Staples, save big on tech with up to $250 off select computers. Staples, where savings for school are always in session. N729, in-store only. See associate for details.
Register now for the 6th annual Support Our Wounded Veterans Charity Golf Tournament August 12th and 13th at Minor Park Golf Course, presented by Hendrick Automotive Group, with support from Sports Radio 810 WHB benefiting Wounded Warrior Project. Lunch, raffle prizes, and a Friday night party with a silent auction are included. Hole-in-one prizes include a BMW and $100,000 in cash. Help ensure that injured post-9/11 veterans reach their highest ambition. Register now at fwwkc.com. That's fwwkc.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Track Talk Live here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Race Boys Broadcasting Network. Kirk, we had a chance to interview the $1 Million Man, Logan Schuchart, here just recently.
And that was prior to last night's win at Williams Grove Speedway last night.
Last night's win wasn't near as important as that $1 million win.
The $1 million win is the big one.
Right.
And that happened a week ago on Thursday night. We were both there to see that. We had Logan Schuchart on Mostly Motorsports earlier in the week to talk about it, and here's a portion of that interview.
And joining us now on the show is Logan Schuchart. He picked up the $1 million, and man, that had to be a thrilling victory, Logan.
Oh, definitely thrilling. I don't know the words for it. I've said a few times that I wish I could explain better how I feel, but to win a race like that, we've finished second in every major, sprint car race, National Open, the Kings Royal, Knoxville Nationals, but to win a race like that, we know we had a chance. We had a good chance. We knew we were going to bring a pretty fast car to the event, but it just seemed like everything fell in place the whole night, and every time we went out on the track, we did exactly what we needed to and got the job done. So just crazy night for my family, sponsors, friends, everybody that's a part of this race team to be able to make something like that happen.
Right. Were you shocked that you led every lap?
I knew that's almost what we needed to do to win the race. When we got up after we won our heat race, which we knew was going to be challenging, and got that part of the night accomplished, went up, drew the one. Butterflies are rolling. Then you got a great shot at it at that point. But when you draw the one, you're starting on the pole. It's like I said in my interview at the racetrack. It's sometimes you want to start third or fourth. So you can kind of watch the leaders for a little bit before you attack and make some moves. But starting on the pole, at that point, the goal is get out front, control the race, and don't let anybody get a shot at passing you. So we had a few restarts there in the beginning where we had to make something happen, but we never gave up the lead, and everything worked to plan.
Yeah, I think most people looked at the 1S car as the fastest car of the weekend. Would you agree with that?
I think we were. I told my team I was very proud. Obviously, to win a race like that, that made probably our whole year. But to bring a car out the door, we were able to win there in May, win an outlaw race there in May, and we've been fast every time we went to Eldora. So I think every time we qualified, I think the worst we qualified was third out of 80-some cars. The worst we qualified all 4 days was third. The million day, obviously, we didn't qualify, but warm-ups, quick time. So I believe we brought the fastest car. And, as far as the Kings Royal format, just the rain earlier in the day made the format really tough. And it's so hard to try and sandbag or, try to hit the invert right so that you start on the pole. And if the racetrack's wide and slick, you can start sixth and race your way up there. Or they were doing they spin the wheel for a couple of years, and you could maybe start fourth or whatever. But I was just proud of bringing the fastest car, and I feel like we did a great job. We passed cars all weekend and went forward every time we were on the track. So
right.
But to win the biggest race in sprint car racing history, it's just unbelievable for my team and everybody involved.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the whoops down there in one. How challenging was that down there?
I feel like our car handled it pretty well. I've dealt with that in the past for certain tracks where it's not really a hole, but there's, like you said, it's like a whoop in the track where the surface just isn't very even.
Yeah.
And it causes the cars to want to jump. But and the suspension with, traveling that fast and the downforce of the car pushes it down so hard that they start to bounce. But our car handled that pretty well. It actually went through. I never really felt like watching the cars on Saturday night bounce around, and some of our teammate Landon Myers got the bad end of that deal, but actually handled it pretty well and went through them pretty decently.
Hey, Logan, this is Kirk. Congratulations on the win. You mentioned after the race on Thursday night that you normally like to start on the outside, but you knew the inside was the way to go. You didn't have all that many restarts that you had to deal with on Thursday night, but the inside was the way to go all throughout the whole event, really, wasn't it?
When you're leading the race, it's a little bit different story. If you are behind somebody, like, say, 3rd, 5th, 7th in that area, Eldora is not a good place to start on the inside. You usually get a better start starting on the outside. But if you're leading the race, it's a little bit different story. You kind of set the pace, especially on a restart, not an original start. You can kind of choose when the race starts and when to get on the gas, and everybody follows you. But even on an original start on the pole, as long as you don't let somebody get to your right front corner and kind of, which Carson did to me, the one restart where he almost beat me into the corner, I was able to drive up in front of him and kind of take the air off his wing. But as long as their left front doesn't get in front of your right front and kind of trap you down the track, usually you can beat second place into the corner at Eldora just by driving up in front of them.
Yeah. Did you ever feel there was a chance that Carson Macedo was going to give you a little bit of a run there? I mean, he kind of showed his nose a little bit there at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, like I said, the one restart, he actually beat me to the line, and like I said, he kind of got to my right front corner on the start, and the All Stars or Eldora Speedway were doing a little bit different deal than what the Outlaws do. If you're the leader, you can kind of go anywhere between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense to me. But their restart zone was pretty narrow coming out of 4, so you almost had to start at the same spot every time. So even though we were leading the race, it was almost like Carson and I were starting. There's just an original restart almost every restart. So. Fortunately, we were able to beat him almost every time. And the time that he did beat us to the line, I was able to drive across the bottom and make it really tough for him to drive down underneath of me by driving across in front of him.
Yeah.
Hey, talk about that victory circle down there. That was about as wild as you could ever imagine. Why wouldn't it be? Your grandpa down there, just a lot of people in that victory circle. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotions were flying around at that point. Especially once we pulled around, got to the scales, the light turned green. Everybody's going wild. You got family, friends, fans, sponsors, everybody involved. That they're letting across the track or they're already in the pit area, and just there's a lot of excitement. Sponsors, people that have been around for a long time. Been a part of this team, seeing where it started and where it came from, and just sharing a lot of excitement.
So the question of the day is, what does it feel like to win $1 million, and then what are you going to do with your part?
I don't know. Like I said, one of the biggest things to me is, trying so hard to win one of these crown jewels and coming so close and running second in every one of them and not winning one. And then, one that was going to mean, almost probably the most to me would be to win a King's Royal, but to go to Eldora, the biggest race in sprint car race year, the biggest winner's share, and to be able to win that, let alone the money, but to what it means to put my name in kind of the history books.
Yeah.
That itself means a ton to me. But to win that kind of money is, I can't even fathom that, what that kind of money looks like.
Yeah.
But, especially where we come from and still running used tires all the time and all that stuff. But, I'm actually sitting in a storage unit right now because I sold my house and I'm working on either or. I was trying to get to build, had dreams of building my own race shop, and so I can definitely get started on that now.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the question of the day, as far as I'm concerned. Should they run this race every year, or should they run it every 5 years? What is your thoughts on that?
When they asked Brad Carson and I that in the media center, for us, we wish they'd do it 5 times a year, but
right, yeah,
obviously that's not sustainable, or it's not going to have the same magnitude probably, but I don't know. You're still racing for $1 million, but I know some other tracks and other venues want to make their track happen, race for $1 million. So I'm sure there's going to be some other ones. How often it is, I don't feel like there will probably be one next year.
Yeah.
Just like we see in the late model world, but it's in question if there's going to be one the year after that, and where it might be, whether Eldora is going to do one, and there's some other tracks talking about doing it too.
But there you have it, Logan Schuchart, the $1 Million Man. Wouldn't it be great to win $1 million in a race?
How about $100,000+ for the 50-50 drawing at Eldora? How about that number?
The 50-50 drawing on Thursday night was $101,000.
Wow.
$101,000. And then the next night, when I bought into it, it was $40,000.
But you didn't win.
I didn't win.
When you see that big tub of all those entries in that thing, and you look how many there are in there, you think it's probably a better shot than winning the lottery, but it's still a long shot.
Kirk, you can buy 30 tickets for $20.
Yeah. And they had these stands up all over the racetrack where they were selling them.
Right.
So that 50-50 is a big deal at Eldora Speedway.
How big a win is this for Logan Schuchart?
Biggest win of his career, and probably will be the biggest win of his career,
Yeah.
no matter what he does from here on out. Because he'll always be known as the $1 Million Man.
Right.
Johnny Gibson was calling him that all night the other
like
night. The $1 Million Man.
Just like Jonathan Davenport, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Donnie Moran, who won the $1 Million race back in 2001.
So here's the debate, Kirk. So how often do you think they should run this race? I think about every 5 years.
No fewer than 5 years.
Right.
I say 10, but no fewer than 5
Why
years.
would you say 10 years? I think 5 years is perfect.
Yeah, it's got to be special.
I know it does, but in 5 years it would be special. Don't you think?
I'm still going with 10. Once every 10 years. You don't agree with that, but
No,
that's my take.
I don't agree with it. Not at all. We need to get Tony Stewart on the show.
Yeah, we've been wanting to do that for a while. Talk about a lot of things with Tony.
Right, SRX.
Including his drag racing. When Topeka is coming up here in a couple of weeks, that'd be the perfect time to try to get him on. Right ahead of that.
Yeah, no doubt. Is he going to race at Topeka?
Yeah, he's at all of them.
He's running every race?
Yeah. They'll have his top alcohol dragster class.
2 minutes and some music.
At Heartland Motorsports Park.
Is he running for points?
I think so. I'm not sure exactly where he stands in the points, but yeah, he's running all the races. That'll be August. That's the same weekend as the Knoxville Nationals. So I'm going to be the first 2 nights at Knoxville, and then the rest of the weekend at Topeka. You're going to be up there the whole time at Knoxville.
I'm going to be up there the whole time at Knoxville Raceway.
That's the only thing I hate about the NHRA at Heartland.
They
Motorsports
schedule
Park.
it on Knoxville weekend.
Same weekend as Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. But, it is what it is. But we'll have them both
so
covered.
Are you going to go to are you going to be going to Knoxville on Saturday night and then leaving Knoxville and going straight to Heartland Park, Topeka?
I'm not sure I can pull that off. That's a lot of miles in between, and you got to be there late morning. Like, to be at the finals of an NHRA event, you got to be there about
early.
9 or 10 o'clock in the morning because they start the eliminations at 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a hard turnaround for me. But
yeah,
I'll make the first 2 nights at Knoxville for sure. You'll have it covered up there.
I'll be up there. I'll be broadcasting from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, I thought Austin McCarl was going to win that race last night at 34 Raceway. What happened to him?
He faded to third.
Zeb Wise picked it up.
He was pretty disappointed with that race last night, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looked like he was on his way. Did he get off the racetrack one time there on the back straightaway?
I'm not sure if he did or not.
I think he slipped off the racetrack there once.
Well, all I know is that from leading all those laps and then running third, it was a big disappointment for Austin McCarl.
Well,
last
he
night.
can make amends for that. He won last week up at Knoxville. On the white flag lap, he took the lead. Let's see if Austin McCarl can pull it off again tonight. Brian Brown will be back there tonight as well.
Is Austin going to be a better driver? Is Austin going to be a better driver than his dad, you think?
It'll be pretty hard to accomplish what his dad has accomplished over the years.
No doubt.
5 360 Nationals wins for Terry McCarl.
Yep, no
that
doubt.
ties Shane Stewart. Be
All
pretty
right.
hard to match that.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget, hour number 2, you can watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter, and racingboys.com as well. So hour number 2 coming up. You can watch it all live on our Facebook page. So, Kirk, that's it. Todd, thanks so much. Doing a great job. We appreciate everybody back at Sports Radio 810 WHB. For Kirk Elliott, for Todd Surprise, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you hour number 2 right on Facebook.
Rod and
hear you guys next week.
Thanks, my friend. Appreciate it. You can run that
problem.
spot. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Spirit Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other ad specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that to build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guide. You are listening to RacingBoys.com, and if you're not, I swear to you, get in your truck or do something, but get the hell out of this country, because you don't belong in it if you don't listen to these fellas.
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Thanks for everybody that's followed us over here on our social media. We appreciate that. We've got 31 people listening to us right now, so pretty good group number right there. Kirk?
Welcome to everybody. Indiana Sprint Week is off and going strong.
It is.
See that race last night? That was a hell of a finish.
between Justin Grant and Robert Ballou?
Right at the line. Robert Ballou, I thought he was going to get him there at the end.
But Justin Grant come out on top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He hung on to it. He had
a sizable lead there at one point.
Yeah. And Brady Bacon, I thought he was the real player in that race. He passed 2 cars at once there that one time, and I thought Bacon was going to be the strongest car at the end of the night, but he ended up third.
Well, all I know is that Robert Ballou and Brady Bacon put on a fierce battle for that second spot.
That was a great show.
That was an awesome show.
Track looked to be I don't know how much rain they've gotten out there at Gas City and out there in Indiana, but it looked like it was a little bit on the rough side, but it was cowboy up, entertaining racing for sure.
Right.
As it always is at Gas City.
Yep. Zeb Weiss picked up 7K at 34 Raceway.
Yep.
Did you see that?
About that, driving the 26 car.
Yeah.
He didn't have a good night at all at Lernerville Speedway. They were completely out to lunch at the Don Martin Silver Cup, but boy, they rallied back in a big way at 34 Raceway. They're going to be at Spoon River tonight.
Yep.
And we might mention, for those of you that live where we do, Kansas City, the All-Stars are going to be making their way to I-70 Motorsports Park next Friday night.
They'll be running at I-70 and Knoxville the next night, right?
So you and I will probably both be out at I-70 for that event.
Yeah.
You going to Knoxville next Saturday? I'll be there tonight.
I might take the motorhome up there.
Yeah. Get it all situated up there for the duration.
They got the slide in.
I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
That's good news. That big slide on the motorhome.
That big giant slide on the motorhome. What a pain in the ass that is.
They built it too big, didn't they?
That thing is way too big. Yeah.
Almost cumbersome.
Hey, if anybody's looking for a motorhome, we've got one for sale.
And the slide is fixed.
And the slide is fixed. It's not totally fixed.
That's the best news that you could ever deliver.
Right. Those guys out there at Kent, man, they do a pretty good job out there.
Yeah, thanks for the help, all those guys. Also, I want to put out a call to Liberty RV, who really helped us out.
Yep.
Over the last couple of weeks.
No doubt.
Allowed us to stay in one of their great RVs out there at Eldora Speedway.
Yep. That was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys do a great job up there. Great service.
I pulled that RV out there 9.5 hours. 10 hours, probably, about 10 hours.
With the construction delays and everything else, probably just a little bit longer.
Kirk, you had more of a problem with construction delays than I did. I never once, just so you know, I never once had to go to a standstill.
Well, the reason I came to a standstill just outside of Effingham, Illinois, was because there was a big wreck on the other side of the interstate. It was down to 2 lanes, and some guy in a pickup pulling a RV, similar to the situation that we had out there. But this guy didn't make it through it and crunched up the front of his RV, and then it caused a chain reaction, and a big tractor trailer got wadded up in the incident as well, and that shut down both sides of the Interstate 70. I was sitting there for close to an hour, not moving at all. So,
and then there was another wreck, wasn't there?
Yeah, there were. I can't remember where that was. I think that was also in Illinois. Illinois is shut down with construction on I-70 just about the whole way through.
It was bad.
They got a bunch of 1-lane highways there.
Yeah. We came home from that baseball tournament from Tennessee, and it was holiday weekend, you remember? It was Sunday for the 4th was on the Tuesday, and Tennessee, the city people, they pulled all their construction people for the whole week just so that they would be free and clear highway, and it was perfect. We're sailing through Tennessee, and man, we hit Illinois, and it was just
log jam.
It was, like you said, 1 lane. And
yeah, it seemed like you couldn't go for 5 miles at the speed limit before you had to slow down again for some kind of construction zone.
Absolutely. And when there's holiday traffic, like I said, on that weekend, you get a bunch of people that don't normally drive maybe on the highway next to big rigs and stuff. And boy, let me tell you, there was people having problems passing on those. It wasn't fun right through that stretch. So like you said, I get where you're coming from. And Scott, you got lucky rolling through there if you didn't hit any of it, because man, it wasn't fun when we rolled home through there. And matter of fact, I think some friends of ours, they hit some weather through all that on the way there, and they really ended up stopping, and they had when we went on the way out there, it was bad for them.
Well, I just got a little rain on the way back. That's all I got.
Yeah, I'm glad I missed all those bad storms here in Kansas City late
a
week ago Friday.
Oh, man, that tore up a lot of trees, didn't
Well,
it?
people don't realize, we got on the air last week, but the whole neighborhood here, we were lucky to even have power last week. We were going to be doing a remote.
We were down for like a day.
Yeah, and we had no telephone, no TV, and the people behind Scott, one street over behind Scott's house, they had no electricity even the next day. So we were lucky we even had power.
You know what's funny is we had power, and our neighbors next to us didn't have power.
Isn't that weird?
Isn't that weird?
We're very fortunate we did a show a week ago.
Yeah, well, that's why I said there might possibly, Kirk was thinking about jumping in the car and heading over to 810.
Right.
To finish that, and then we were just going to stream whatever we could get out on the air and just run a best of. But, yeah, it was pretty big storms. They're still cleaning up here. You can hear the chainsaws running outside right now. They're still cleaning up from last week.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Rain up at Houston Speedway last night. The preliminary race to the Silver
Rained
Dollar
out.
Nationals has been postponed to this afternoon. They're going to have hot laps at 1 o'clock at Houston Speedway, and there's no one main event this afternoon. They're going to run double heat races to get everything lined up. That's the same format they had for the Silver Dollar Nationals when it was I-80 Speedway. So everybody will run 2 heat races today after hot laps, and then tonight they'll have some B features and last chance qualifiers. They moved that street stock race to Sunday, July 30th, so it's all late models tonight. $53,000 to win. On Thursday night, Ricky Thornton Jr. picked up the Go 50 feature event, beating Bobby Pierce and third place Jonathan Davenport.
That's pretty good money, $53,000.
And that 53 number was Joe Kosiski's number when he raced.
Right.
So that's the Kosiski family number. And the Kosiskis, they don't have I-80 Speedway anymore. That track is gone, sadly. And so Houston Speedway and Todd Quiring and everybody picked up that event up there. And I think Joe, he still has influence into that event up there. The Kosiskis worked a lot of years to build that event up to a major event. And they found a place that they like to carry on the tradition, and Houston Speedway is it.
Right. $53,000 to win tonight.
That's one of the crown jewel races for sure.
No doubt.
In dirt late model racing. So we'll look forward to watching that race. I thought it was a pretty good show up there the other night. The only bad thing about it is 50-lap race. It rubbered down towards the end of that race, and it turned into a freight train there towards the end of the race. But up until that point, we saw some pretty good action on that racetrack.
I'd give them a break.
Yeah.
Because I think that they'll do a better job this time around.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how things go this afternoon up there.
Put some water on it.
Yeah. Well, they don't run a lot of late models at Houston Speedway. That's a sprint car racetrack. So
it is.
Anyway, it should be a good show tonight.
With that being said, Kirk, when we watched those late models on there, they were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a race the other night, their local late model class that they run on a weekly basis up there. They put on a pretty good show on Wednesday night up there. They had a race up there. So I like Houston Speedway. That's the first time I'd been up there for the High Bank Nationals. That was my first time ever going to Houston Speedway, and I was very impressed with that facility.
It's a remarkable facility. Chuck Brennan, who was the previous owner of that racetrack, put a lot of money into that racetrack and turned it all around and made it really nice and really fancy. And Todd Quiring owns it now, though.
And then after that bad tornado came through there about a year ago, they had to do some more spending the money to get it fixed back
It
up.
cleaned off the top level of the suites.
Yeah, took the top level suites and put them on the front straightaway that
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
So but it's a unique facility. I don't think I could compare it to any place else I've been to, Scott. It's they got the pits off the back straightaway, and I love the way the pits are organized because if you're just walking the pits, everybody's fairly close together. There's not a big alley in between one side and the other, and if you're just walking the pits, everybody's up close just off the back straightaway. And when you go to the infield, it's all paved, but it almost feels like you're in a stadium when you're at Houston Speedway.
Yeah.
You got those big, massive grandstands on the front straightaway and high banks. The size of that racetrack, what would you say, about third mile, quarter mile?
Third
How big
mile.
is that track?
About a third mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a bull. I'd call it a bull ring.
It is a bull ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Justin Sanders, Pete is saying that Justin Sanders to the Macri number 39 M car starting Thursday, July 27th with the All-Stars. And then Tuesday, July 25th at Grandview, high limit driver to be announced.
And Anthony Macri is filling in for the injured Tyler Courtney in the 7B NOS Energy Drink car. I don't know how soon Tyler's going to be able to come back. He had a back injury at Eldora last weekend. How long is Sunshine going to be out of the car?
Nobody knows.
And that's a sad deal because I think he was leading the points, was he not, in the All-Stars?
Let me take
he
a
was
look.
right up there, defending champion. And that's very unfortunate that Sunshine got hurt. Hope he gets well soon.
I'll take a look on this real quick.
Danny Dietrich, who also sat out the Kings Royal, was able to come back and drive the 48 car this week, earlier at Lernerville Speedway. So good to see him back in the car. I guess the back door of the hauler fell on his leg or something on Friday night. Not sure exactly what happened there, but Dietrich is fine. He's back in the race car. What do you make of this Anthony Macri situation? You know, getting into it with his dad?
His dad, yeah. I don't know what to think of it, to be honest with you. You know, it's hard to work with family sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? As you know.
Well, my nephew Dennis Elliott, I think he and his dad get along just fine. Saw them together last night.
Yeah. But as you know, sometimes family situations, Todd, you can chime in on this. Sometimes when you're working with family in a close environment, sometimes it just doesn't work out the way it's supposed to.
You
right?
feel like family to me, and sometimes you and I have.
Well, you know, I get more crap about giving Kirk Elliott. You know who gives me more crap than anybody is Paul.
He always looks out for him.
Yeah.
Paul always gives me crap about me giving you crap.
Is the Paul that we saw out at Eldora Speedway?
Yeah.
Yeah. We know Paul. Paul's a great guy.
Yeah. He's from the Pacific Northwest.
Hanging out with Blake Hahn.
Let me just tell you about the water. Have you ever drank the water that Paul has?
No, but he's told me about it. I meant to.
I'm telling you, it does make you feel better.
Yeah.
And for a measly $5,000, you could have that water device in your house, and it really cleans you out, Kirk. You know, I drank that water for a week one time, and I had the runs like you wouldn't believe.
Well, do we need to hear about that right now?
Well, I'm just saying, it was just a.
Did you stick with it?
I stuck. Listen, I drank as much of that water as I could when I was down there with Paul at Eldora. I'd go in and I'd get me a bottle and I'd dump the water out and I'd pour his water into it.
Well, I'm going to dig into it because everybody speaks pretty highly of it all, so including yourself.
Yeah.
So we'll have to check it out. Hey, I was up at US 36 Raceway last night.
Paul, tell me the name of that water device that you have there. Type it in there. I know you're listening right now.
I had a brochure on that thing here
You did?
a while back, I think. Yeah, didn't he have some materials on that when he was with us?
Right.
Here a few weeks back? So, yeah, we'll dig into that.
Tammy, she says, sad situation with Macri. He is my favorite driver. Now, Tammy, can you give us a little insight into what his dad and his and Anthony got into it about? Do we have any notion at all of what that all went down? What happened?
And Blake Anderson interviewed Anthony Macri the other night, but he didn't ask him about that. I don't know if there was a agreement before the interview started. Don't ask me about any of that. But, my first question would have been, what happened, Anthony? Why are you not still in the 39M car?
Lance Deweese did a pretty decent job in it.
Yep. Yeah, at the last minute to show up and climb in that car. Yeah,
Lance Deweese
he had
is getting
planned on being there.
Lance Deweese is getting up there in the years, though, right?
But he still, as recently as last fall, won the National Open. So he can still get it done.
Yeah.
Hey, I was up at US 36 Raceway last night for the non-wing Midwest Wingless Sprint Association sprint cars. They had 16 of those cars. They had like 8 classes of cars last night. I'm driving in off US 36, and I look at the pits, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, this is going to be a late night.
So we had somebody chime in a little bit earlier that said that they got home at 3:45 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
Kirk couldn't have done that.
I couldn't have done that. I had
Not
I've
doing the
got a
show.
big weekend. I got to get up to Iowa this weekend. And
Couldn't have drove up
I
to.
couldn't stay for the feature events last night. It's
So-
about 11 o'clock, and I had to bail. I had to roll out.
So your nephew ran second last night?
He ran second to Chad Clancy. Both those guys started on the front row of $1,500 to win a mod feature last night. Put up pretty good money. They had 17 IMCA modifieds, but they let the USRA mods come in and run. It was pretty much an open deal, looked like to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Chad Clancy started on the pole, and Dennis Elliott on the outside of the front row. Those guys run 1 and 2. And in the non-wing sprint cars, Corey Schutte was
Were
the
you
man.
able to watch the modified race?
No. I was not. Because they had those 2 classes last. They had the non-wing sprint cars, then the modifieds closed it out. I couldn't stay that long.
Well,
so I saw the heat races though, and I did see one feature. They had a makeup feature for the 305 wing sprint cars, the Race Saver sprints that they ran last night.
Yeah, how'd that
They
go?
started off the first race of the night for that. And I was going to pull up the guy's name who won that. I have it here. Just bear with me. I had it here on the tip of my tongue.
Hey,
I'll
wanna
look
say-
it up. Keep talking there, and I'll.
I was going to say, I'm going to say hey to Adam Bartlett. He's listening in. He just texted us. and
Hey, Adam.
Adam's checking in up there. Moved up to the great north.
Man, do we miss Adam or what?
We do. And like you said, if you're wondering, almost 99.9% of the music that you hear played on Racing Boys is all Adam's music.
Right.
So.
Hey, and Adam, I hope things are getting better for you up there, buddy.
We're thinking about you. Everything's good.
Man, we are thinking about you a lot down here, just so you know.
Jacob Dye was the guy who won the makeup 305 feature that started out the night last night. So that's the
Right.
one feature I did see. But the winners last night were Chad Clancy in A-Mods. Mitchell Moore won the regular 305 Race Saver sprint car feature. Stephen Clancy won the USRA B-Mod feature last night. Brad Deary in the IMCA stock cars. Tyler Starmer in pure stocks. And Adam Dunwoody in the E-Mods
Dunwoody
last night. Yeah.
Dunwoody.
So you had all those classes. You know that hillside beyond the back straight, there's a bunch of trees along the back straightaway at US 36 and
right.
back. All that area was clear filled with race cars last night. They had the non-wing sprint cars not on the main part of the pit area last night, but down that little access road and behind that's where they had all the non-wing cars last night. I've never seen that pit area as packed as it was last night at US 36 Raceway.
So just so you know, my old buddy Paul, he just put a link up there to where you could check out the water treatment service. And let me tell you something. It really works. You can feel the difference in your body as soon as you drink it. So click on that link. Paul Nelson, he said, thank you, Scott. Click on that link and go to where you can learn about that water treatment. It's really good. Did you click on it, Kirk?
I haven't yet, but I will.
Okay.
I will look at it, Paul. Hey, Todd, while I'm thinking about it, I forgot to mention him before the show. We're going to try to get Jack Wagner on.
Oh, yeah,
last
that's right.
portion of the show, so.
And then we got a couple interviews to
later
run.
on.
And we still got Chase Rodman and Trenton Berry to do, right?
Absolutely. We might as well get to one of those.
Well,
We'll do those first.
Let's do one of those
Let's
right
knock
now,
one of those
Kirk.
out, and we'll go ahead and get a hold of
Let's go with Chase Randall.
Chase Rodman?
Chase Rodman.
Rodman.
Chase Rodman is the pit reporter for the World of Outlaws. He was working
What'd I
at
say?
Williams Grove
You
Speedway
said that last week,
night.
too.
I did.
It's
Chase
all right.
Randall's a race car driver who won last week at Knoxville in the 360
Right.
cars. Chase Randall.
Chase Randall.
Yeah. The defending Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial non-wing
Chase
winner.
Randall is one of the very best pit reporters in the business.
Chase Rodman.
You did it again.
I just said it. I did it again.
Chase Randall is the race car driver. We'll see him tonight at Knoxville.
Oh, my God.
And Chase
How many times can I
Rodman-
do that?
Chase Rodman is doing his work at Williams Grove Speedway. Anyway, we have Chase on every week talking about the World of Outlaws, as we did this past Monday, and he wraps up the Kings Royal weekend. And here's a portion of that conversation we had with Chase Rodman from Monday's Mostly Motorsports show. And as soon as we get the audio for that, we will. Anyway, we'll talk some more here. So I don't have.
Were
the,
you
Chase-
surprised that Logan Schuchart led every lap?
I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised at all to see him win. I guess, I was kind of surprised to see him lead every lap because I thought it was going to be, no hold bar. Everybody was going to be going as hard as they could. Obviously, I think we kind of saw that in that first heat race that night, that everybody was trying to get everything that they could.
Right.
And had some issues there. But, I think Logan was definitely one of the guys that we all had kind of circled as the contender to win. And he was just so good in that race. And, to me, the whole week it seemed like the track wasn't exactly what the Eldora that we're used to seeing. I
Right.
feel like every race was won off the front row, which is it's kind of not as exciting as we're used to seeing at Eldora, but
Right.
Something was just a little bit off.
It seemed like the track had some pretty good whoops down there in turn one for the entire weekend. A lot of people crashed down in turn 1 and 2. I mean, there was a lot of gnarly wrecks down there, wasn't there?
Yeah, and it wasn't like it was just one night. There was the night that Kerry got in there and wrecked, and Landon Myers and Justin Peck, they wrecked at the same time, and there was a couple other incidents throughout the week. 1 and 2 was sketchy, and then it was fun to watch there on the final night, the Kings Royal night, to watch Marks and Larson get up there and try and go above it. That made it for some exciting moments there. But yeah, they just the whole week, I felt like it wasn't the Eldor that we're used to seeing, where it's really, really slick. And there was never really a bottom. I feel like when it came to the features, there was nobody making any ground on the inside of the racetrack.
Right.
Yeah. What do you make of that, Chase? What do you think's going on?
I think it. To be honest with you, me personally, I think that those whoops down there in 1 and 2 was just, it was there and they just couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know what they could have done or even tried to get those out of the equation. Really, I think once they're there, and you run 4 straight nights,
yeah,
it's just you're done. I mean, you need to have. I feel like that takes a couple of weeks of reshaping or getting the blade out and trying to smooth it out. You're not going to fix that overnight, And then of course that rain came in on the final night, and that I feel like multiplied the severity of those whoops a little bit even more.
Right.
So, and I don't know why the bottom wasn't a factor all week. Obviously, that final night it rained so much that it was just hammered down the entire night, but I don't know what the deal is going on. I didn't watch that big late model race they had there. I don't know if it was the Dream or the World. I can't remember which one they had, but I heard that race wasn't very good either. So it sounds like they just got something. They got some work to do.
Yeah.
Last year everything was perfect. I remember the racing was so good there. The Kings Royal was super good. But this, I don't know. They missed something, that's for sure.
The dirt late model Dream, it rubbered down about halfway through that 100-lap race.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard it wasn't very good. I didn't hear about the rubber, but I mean, at least we didn't have that problem at all throughout the week.
Right. Listen, when Kyle and Gio and Baston all flipped down there in turns 1 and 2, that was a grinding wreck, and it was lucky that Kyle didn't get hurt in that accident, right?
Yeah, him and Lachlan McHugh, I feel like he took the hardest hit out of anybody in that whole thing. He came in really late and ran into, I think it was Kyle, and took quite the ride. That was a scary accident there. And, I think if that wreck didn't happen, I think Kyle could have made it interesting with Schuchart for that race.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll never know, but I was impressed all weekend, though, with Aaron Reitzel. He was battling up front for the prelim night of the million, and then obviously before he got into the hole in turn 1 and wrecked, he was right up there with everybody for the million too. So it's good to see those guys finally getting some speed in the 8 car, because I feel like over the last couple of weeks, or not even weeks, but more like the last year or so, they haven't really been a factor when it came to Outlaws, All-Stars, High Limit. They've obviously they've been good at Knoxville and some lower series, but
yeah, I
feel like Aaron Reitzel and the 8 just up until this weekend, they really haven't been a big factor.
It was surprising to me in the Last Chance Showdown that Brad Sweet come up 1 short, and Logan Schuchart, he ran 7th, and they didn't even make the show on Saturday night. Were you a little surprised by that?
Oh yeah, well me and Blake Anderson were talking off the microphone. What were the Vegas odds of 3 Shark cars showing up, and the one that made the show was Landon Myers?
Right.
That is insane that was the case. But yeah, I mean, that's just the product of the track being super tough to pass on. Obviously, we all know that the format at the Kings Royal is ruthless. When you get guys like Sweet and Schuchart and Jacob Allen, and I mean, a whole bunch of fast guys didn't make the show.
Brian Brown, he was one of them that did
Brian
make it.
Brown.
Yeah,
Brian Brown didn't make it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other ones, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But and people are criticizing the format, but I feel like if the track, if it didn't rain as much as it did, and when we got the normal Eldor that we're used to seeing, that 6-car invert would not have been a problem. You can pass cars in heat races at Eldor. You can pass cars in a Last Chance Showdown at Eldor, but when you're given those circumstances, even Brad, I saw him do an interview with Matt Weaver that, with the cards they were dealt, I mean, that's the best he could do. I mean,
right.
You put Sam Haverkeep Jr. up in front of him, he's not going to make a mistake on a track like that. You're not going to be able to pass him. He's got the best of the best stuff. They probably got equal race cars, and he's going to be a tough guy to pass.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Brad Sweet and Logan Schuchart, these guys didn't do anything wrong. They were just a victim of the racetrack.
Where they started is really because Logan started 9th, and Brad started 5th, and as we mentioned, Brad just come up one short. But when you start that deep in the field and you got a really fast and rugged racetrack, it's going to be difficult to get up through the field, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we saw it there with Schuchart. I mean, he was stuck behind, McKenna Hassey for half of that race. I don't even know if he even ended up passing her, but I'm not saying, McKenna Hassey is slow or anything, but it just goes to show a guy that just won $1 million race couldn't pass somebody that hadn't made a World of Outlaws main event at Eldora.
Right.
That just shows you right there how tough the track was to get around guys. And, we saw that even in the feature, even after that, all the laps that were turned on it during the B main. It was still hard to get by anybody in that feature event. Marks was, obviously making some moves. Larson was making some moves. Rico came through the work area and got back to like 6th, I think. But,
right.
I mean, besides a couple of guys, it was tough, man. And what I hate, guys, is I hate when we have a huge race like the Million. We have a huge race like the Kings Royal, where everybody in the racing world is watching us.
Yeah.
Or even the Chili Bowl sometimes, and the race just turns out to not be that good. I hate when that happens because, when we have all these incredible races on a weekly basis, not everybody is watching, right? And it doesn't get that attention. But, the Million comes around and Logan Schuchart leads all 50 laps and he wins by 8 seconds or whatever, not even a close battle. And that's what, the basic NASCAR fan that might have been tuned in, and the basic IndyCar fan that would have been tuned in for just that race, like, well, hey, that wasn't that exciting,
Or a Formula One fan, because the average pass for the lead in Formula One is 1.2.
Yeah, and you know who's going to win before it starts. That's not exciting at all. But, real race fans, Chase, I don't care if you're a fan of dirt racing or NASCAR or whatever, not every race is going to be great. That's just the way it is.
Oh, 100%. I agree. Yeah, I agree. It just, what I did say to somebody was, if the race was going to be not, too thrilling, I'm glad a guy like Logan Schuchart was able to win.
Yeah.
That's kind of my main takeaway from it. I'm just glad it wasn't, a blowout by Larson, who's, he's not hurting for money, obviously.
Right.
He's won $1 million race earlier this year. So it was cool to see that team, the story behind that team and everything they've been through for them to persevere and come through and win that race was a great storyline for a race that really wasn't too thrilling. So I guess that was kind of a save face, really.
But you were really fortunate, Chase, because the most thrilling part of the whole night for me was watching that victory circle down there, and you were right in the middle of it.
Yeah, the one with Donnie was awesome. I love seeing Donnie win, especially after everything that everybody on Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff, they all say that he's washed up, blah, 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 this and that, and he goes out there and spanks them, right? When you put him on the front row at Eldora during the Kings Royal on a track like that, he is not going to make a mistake and get past. He knows how to pace himself through a race like that. I think as soon as he made the pass in the heat race to start on the front row of the feature, I kind of knew that it was going to be super hard to get by him. And it's awesome to see what we're seeing with him right now. Obviously, he's not having the seasons that he would have liked, but, even last year, he only won a handful of races, but he was still able to win the Knoxville Nationals. This year, he's only won 2 races, but he's still able to win the Kings Royal. It just goes to show that he shows up for big races, and he can turn it on when he needs to,
Yeah. What made that thrilling to me to watch was how emotional Donnie got down there, because he knew he hadn't been running the best here lately, and it all fell into place for him one time. I don't think I've seen him that emotional in Victory Circle as we saw him on Saturday night.
And for that matter, he seems like Donnie really likes you, Chase.
Mm-hmm. He does, yeah. And that wasn't the case, 2020. We weren't too cordial with each other, but recently, whenever we go to to Fargo for outlaw races, we all go over and hang out and have a couple beers at his sister's house down the road from his place and hang out. And him and I have a pretty funny relationship that sometimes comes out during the dash draw or
Right.
a podium interview or whatever. So he and it was weird, because the day of the Kings Royal, we were going and getting interviews for the Dirt Vision studio for Dave Reap and whatnot for his little pre-race show. And Donnie was like, I went to go talk to him, and I could tell even before I was within 30 feet of him, I was like, oh man, he is not in a good mood. He does not look happy. He has not been running good all week. And, I asked him the questions that they wanted me to ask him, and he looked like he wanted, that's why I said Victory Lane. It looked like he wanted to punch me and, throw me on the ground and all that, but I know that it's nothing that I did, obviously, but it's just how they have been running this year that gets him into a mood like that. He's won 5 Kings Royals, and in his mind at that point in time, he probably thought he had no shot in hell of winning the race.
Right.
So, but, obviously later on he won, and it was funny to hear him say, I do, you know me, Chase, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and
Right.
this morning was a indicator of that, so he recognized that he was a little ticked off at me that, earlier in the afternoon, but it was all worth it later on in the night to see him get that 6th win.
Welcome back. How
you doing?
Hey, man. Jack Wagner joins us on the show right now. He picked up a win at Valley Speedway, and then he did the double dip, and he won down in the wing sprint car at Double X Speedway. How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing all right, sir. About you yourself?
We're doing pretty good. Not as good as you, man. You picked up the double that weekend. How about that?
First time in my career doing it, and couldn't be more excited. Honestly, just doing Saturday night alone sent me over the moon. It's been forever since I got a non-wing win underneath my belt with the Jesse Hockey car, and to finally get that monkey off my back was great. And then to carry it over and do something I also haven't done in a very, very long time, double it up at a different racetrack with a different car, and then to add on top of it, have my little brother start beside me on the front row, battle it out for half the race, and then be able to pull it off on the big end was a weekend to remember. All in all, I will always cherish that weekend.
Well, let's talk about that win on Saturday night, Jack. That was a doozy of a ride. That was about as good a race as I'd seen all year. You and Corey Schutte, Wesley Smith was in the mix. You got that car biked up down there in turn number 2. Somehow you saved it. I mean, that thing was completely sideways, and you got it back down on the ground. You didn't have the lead at that time, but took advantage of a restart to grab the lead. But to come back from that, just how do you explain what happened there? You were able to save the car and come back and win.
None of that was me. I'm going to give all that grace and credit to God on that one. I had fully expected once the car seat balanced and get up in the air, I immediately thought, well, this ain't going to end up well. It came back down by the grace of God, got it turned back down the backstretch. I saw one car slide in front of me, got slid underneath him, and only ever lost one spot by doing that big of a bunny hop. That was insane. Everybody in the pit, that was the first thing they asked me. They didn't even ask about the win. They asked, how'd you come back from that?
Right,
I always told them, well, I had about 18 laps to have my butt unclenched because the thing was just all the way in the air, came back down, surprised me that we were still rolling. And even then, Corey Schutte had about 7 to 8 car lengths out on us, and I knew it was going to be a fight, especially on a rough, rowdy, cowboy-up racetrack like Valley was that night. And to be able to catch a guy like Corey Schutte in clean air just doesn't happen. We got a late yellow, able to bunch him back up. He had a really good restart on me, and I wasn't even ready for it. We were able to slip underneath him in turn 1, and I don't know what happened after that. Set it on, I'm not going to say cruise control. I had to turn on panic mode and just left as quickly as I could.
Yep.
If I leave any gap for any of those guys, they're going to take advantage of it. So best thing we could do is get out front, stay out front, and every lap I go around the front stretch saying, where's the white flag? Where's the white flag? Where's the white flag? Please throw the checkers sometime today.
Right. Hey, Jack, was I mistaken? But when you bicycled it up, and when it came back down, you blew past that car that was right in front of you.
Correct.
Right. Was that for second place?
Yes. So I seat bounced in second. A car got by me, so now I'm sitting third. When I got corrected, driving down the back straightaway, I got back 2 seconds, all in a matter of about 8 seconds.
I know it. It was amazing, really, to be honest with you, because you biked up and then you just rocketed by that second place car.
That's to show you how much horsepower is underneath these engines. Donat's got these things tuned up, and my dad's got the fuel system sitting just right to where anytime I need the power, it's right there, and we needed every ounce of it at a Cowboy Up racetrack like Valley Speedway was on that Saturday night. I'm going to give a lot of the props to the track crew. They went out after hot laps, re-watered it, and gave it a sheep's foot just to try and smooth it down for us. But, man, it turned out to be one heck of a race and a great show for the fans, and I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm biased because I won, but I think you could walk down the pits of any class that night and they could all say the same thing. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about that double file restart. I mean, you got the best of Corey Schutte there. You were on the outside.
The outside was definitely the place I think to go. The restart beforehand, I restarted outside, and it turned out a lot better for me. I was in fourth at the time, and Wesley Smith was in third. And he did the exact same thing I did. He seat bounced going into one and lost a spot to me, so now I'm sitting third. So I thought, okay, off this restart's going to do the same thing. Turns out I wasn't prepared for how quick Corey Schutte was going to have that restart. He got about a car and a half on me right coming out of four. I started on the car, crosses him over down the front stretch. I'm going into turn one underneath him. I hit a little bit of grease instead of that hole I hit the first time. And car stayed steady, car stayed straight. It got a little bit tight, but let off the throttle just enough to get the front end turned back around. Down the backstretch we go, and I could hear guys around me the entire rest of the race. I'm thinking somebody's here. They're going to throw a short slider. They're going to do something, maybe throw a really Hail Mary in three on the last lap. But, man, I just didn't understand how fast that car really was until we went back and watched film and had car links on them. I think guys made mistakes going into three with the big holes they had, and we were able to get through there a little bit quicker and a little bit smoother with sure belt suspension on the side of the car, really making that thing just glide across every hole we could possibly go through.
Yeah.
It's just,
hey, let me
stars aligned for the first time in forever, and it was amazing for the team.
Let me ask you this about your win down at Double X Speedway. How special was that for your brother to run second to you?
That was emotional for both of us. I know he wanted it, and I know he wanted it bad. First start, I am leading going into three, and I see a gray 73 come across my nose. And the moment I see that happen, I'm giggling in my helmet knowing this is about to be a dogfight, and we fought it out hard for a good half of that race. I want to say lap 11 or 12 is when he finally made one mistake, and it was just one for me to sneak by around him on the outside of four. I'm just about kissing the concrete going down the front stretch, and we're going into one, and he tries to slide me again, but I had enough momentum to where I'm nosing him out of turn two. I know he wants it, and I can guarantee you by the end of this season, he's either going to have one underneath his belt or he's going to have one come really, really soon, early in next year. I am very proud of that boy and everything he's doing, wing and non-wing this year. He's improved so much. Gone 410 racing, I think we've learned a lot about ourselves and how far we can push our cars and the speed we find, and he's soaking it all up and bringing it back to Double X and really, really making himself a hot shoe around here. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the future.
Yeah. Let me ask you a little bit of a question. You know, we've got WAR, we've got NWRA, and we've got the Extreme series as well. What do you think that we need to do to get everybody on the same page to where we don't have a race up at I-35 and at Valley Speedway on the same weekend? What do we need to do there a little bit? What do you think?
I think that we need to pull a lot of people together, really let everybody – me and my brother have this kind of problem. Every once in a while we'll get a little mad at each other. We'll talk about it, and we haven't ever fist fought once in our lives, but we've sure raised our voices a few times. But after we raise our voice, we calm our heads, we come back together and say, okay, this is my deal, this is your deal, let's make a compromise. I want Kenny Brown and I want MWRA, I want them all to come together and really understand each other, because whenever we're all together, much like the show at I-70 at the beginning of the year, I think everybody had a good time. That was a great race. Shout out to Wyatt Brooks getting a win there, and all the crew guys from Power I and MWRA for working together. They put on a good show, and I know that we could do it again, but pride has to get put aside. We have to be able to communicate, and we have to be able to be open with each other to put something together. But until then, I'm not sure what else we can do. We're just going to have to be splitting fields until somebody decides, you know what, we need to all come back together, because we're a lot stronger together. We're a great unit together. Between MWRA and Power I guys, it's a blast running with everybody. But whenever the field split, you get half the power in one spot and half the power in the other. It's just, I wish people would come together and realize that, and I understand travel times, and we're all work. We all work 40-hour jobs plus some for some of us, and the worst we can do is, all right, somebody's just going to have to sit a Friday night out. We're all going to come together and race Saturday, or we're all going to have to wait until Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day weekend and make a big show out of it. But until we can get pride put aside, until we can realize travel times for everybody, workload for everybody, I think we're just going to have a split field.
Well, how fulfilling is it to see Jack Hockett with a big smile on his face?
Every week I see him with a smile on his face coming in. Sometimes I see him with a smile on his face coming out whenever we win and do really good. But the times that he does it, he's shaking his head because I did something dumb that night. It always drives me to keep doing better and improve myself to make sure I go out next time and get a better one for him. So anytime I can come back to the pits and I see a smile on his face, and then I'll see Connie sitting in the car, in the push car, and she's giggling and she's smiling, I know we did good. And I always strive to make sure that always happens every time I get out of the seat.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Jack, I appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Track Talk today, man. We can't thank you enough for doing so. Congratulations on the 2 big wins, and good luck to you the rest of the year, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all for having me, and y'all have a blessed weekend.
All right, you too, buddy.
Take care. Thank you. And that was a live interview that you just heard.
Right.
Jack Hockett. Jack Wagner. I'm thinking of Jack Hockett. Jack Wagner.
So you did it as well, Jack Hockett.
Contagious.
Jack Wagner was not at US 36 Raceway last night, or he might not have been able to join us this morning. It was so late.
Right.
So, but, man, what a weekend.
Hey, I just want to give you a phone number to Paul Nelson, who sells this water. And here's his phone number, 425-931-7635. 425-931-7635. Give Paul a call, and he'll tell you all about that water and how good it is. It detoxes your body. That's what it does, just so you know.
Terry Phillips won in the USMTS at Mason City last night. That was after Jim Chisholm won on Thursday night. They're going to go at it again tonight at Mason City, and Trenton Berry is up there doing his thing with RacingDirt.com. And we talked with Trenton Berry earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports, as we always do. And here's a portion of that conversation with Trenton Berry.
Let's talk about Tim. He had a hell of a weekend, didn't he?
Oh my gosh, man! And so what was crazy? He darn near the only race he didn't win. He ran second, and he was really close to winning that one too. He got up off the bottom there late in the race, trying to see if maybe there was a better place to be, and Jim Chisholm got underneath him. Great young up and coming racer. And, yeah, 2 firsts and a second. Won this event the year before. I'd say if you had to pick an odds-on favorite in a dirt modified at Ogilvy Raceway, there's nobody better in America right now than Jake Tim to go run that racetrack. It was a clinic. I'm gonna be right honest with you. It was just a clinic. He chased down Tyler Wolf Saturday night and passed him. They had a yellow, restarted out front, drove away. He he did everything he needed to do. He had a career type weekend there for sure.
Yep.
Just watching the way he was circulating around that racetrack, he got down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Circulating.
Yeah, he was working that bottom in 1 and 2 to perfection. But that's a slick racetrack, and it looks like a technical racetrack too.
Yeah, so it is slick. It's a lot slicker typically than like you'd see at Deer Creek, Fountain City, Cedar Lake. So some of those places we go to in that pocket of the country. Ogilvie would definitely be considered more slick typically than those. So you're dead on that one. Good eye catching that for sure.
Yeah.
And it's got a little bit. It's got fairly long straightaways. It's not a huge track by any means, but it's cool. It's a great place, man. They packed that crowd out Saturday night. So I don't know. I put on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but I love taking these grandstand photos on these big nights, these Saturday night finales and things. And, man, had a huge crowd there Saturday night. And they had a bunch of people in the suites, too. So just cool. It's just fortunate to be part of those events, and thrilled that people want to come out and see that style of racing. We got rained out there Thursday to get the weekend started, so it kind of took a little bit to get going. It was wild because all day and leading up to it, the Thursday night looked good, and then man, it just brewed up a storm out of nowhere and just busted down on the racetrack. And fortunately, lost the racetrack. Hung around about an hour or so, and just trying to see if maybe they could get it rolling again. The track's not in any sort of municipality, so we could have raced late that night if we needed to. And,
right.
Man, they just couldn't get the equipment on there to get it packed back on. They put a road grader on, but couldn't get through the corner down on the bottom of the track. So not anything they could do. And so we had a long night Friday, but we had to pick up the rest of the program. So it is a great deal, though, man. What a great race.
Yeah. Did Rodney Sanders have anything for Jake Tim?
Man, he said he wished he'd won a little harder earlier, and I figured Rodney would probably conserve early, figure out his car versus everybody else's and where he needed to be. But he said at the end, not really, but he was back a little ways. So I don't know, coulda, woulda, shoulda maybe, but he had a great run there in the finale. But said he felt like he could have maybe but he would have had to have went really hard early in the race. And man, Tyler Wolff got out there so far, even out front of Jake Tim, so early right there. It looked like Wolff was going to run away, and Tyler had a great weekend all the way around. I've talked a lot about him in previous weeks with you guys, saying how fast he is. And he is incredibly fast right now.
Right.
And he kept a level head this weekend. He ran a great race. I didn't see anything out of him that was not superb this weekend too. So I'd give a call to him. He was really fast all weekend as well.
So he started 10th, and he ends up winning that race. That's a 50-lap race. That worked in his favor, didn't it?
Yeah, for sure it did. And we don't see, so the top 8 redraw. So it doesn't really matter where you qualify inside of the top 8, just as long as you just got to get in that top 8, and then you seal your fate at the trailer at intermission with the poker chips. So we don't see just a ton of winners outside of the redraw. Well, we get them occasionally. Rodney came earlier this year. He came from 16th or 17th out of a B main and did it. And but yeah, to see the winners come out of the redraw is definitely, I would put that on the less typical side.
Mm-hmm.
When you look over all the races through the course of the year. So yeah, I mean, the car was dialed in 100%. Here's what's cool about Jake Tim as well. So they own a business called OFI Performance, and it's an engine shop up in Winona, Minnesota. Their family's also in the machine tooling industry.
So they build,
and this is kind of,
they build their own motors then, right?
So Jake doesn't. He doesn't from scratch build his late model engines. He works on them when he needs to, but he from scratch, from just bare parts, he builds and assembles and puts his combinations together in all of his mod motors, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Talk more about Chisholm. He won one of those preliminary races earlier.
Yeah.
Just talk more about him.
Just a huge up and comer. I don't really know where the limit is for Jim and his brother Joe. His brother Joe wasn't racing this weekend, but he was there crewing on the car for Jim. And And those Chisholm boys, they are the future of the USMTS. There is no doubt about it. This Jim Chisholm, he's like 19, 20 years old. He's already winning USMTS races. He's running up front. They're farm kids, Kirk, and you can appreciate this being from Iowa. I talked to Darlo, the tech guy, a little bit about this. Darlo had a really interesting take on why Jim is so good. He said, Darlo said, you know, these farm kids, he said they spend their whole life, they work on things, they have to fix equipment, and they have to go figure things out mechanically no matter what it is. And he said they're usually pretty diverse in what they go work on, you know, when you think about what a farm would entail. And he said he felt like Jim took every bit of his upbringing and has applied it to this race car. And what I think after Darlo said that is it's really wild to think about, you know, a lot of these racers are just put in a box by what they can order from the parts catalog. And so you take somebody like Jim, who's really a free thinker and incredibly mechanically inclined, and he has no limits to what he can do except conform in the rule book. Man, you can push gray areas, you can try things, you can think differently than the rest of your competition, and his car's got a little bit of a different attitude on the racetrack, and I'm not smart enough to tell you why or what in that regards, but sometimes it just looks a little different. And he's a heck of a racer, but he is really intelligent, especially for as young as he is.
What happened to him in that race on Saturday night?
So he had a left rear flat, and it happened right in front of me. I was right over there at him at the car when they went to go change it, but it wasn't a flat like that. He didn't smoke the tread on it. So I almost wonder, early in the race, he had a little quarter pound of damage on the left side, and for one of the yellows, they stopped, and Ryan Staley, Todd's boy, pulled it out on the front stretch, and it wasn't really a spot. It didn't look like he had any sort of tire rub at all when they went back green. I can't say for certain that he didn't. I went to go look at the tire, and they hauled the tire back off to the four-wheeler and the hot pit there in the infield, and I wasn't able to get a good look at the tire, what happened. But he had a left rear tire went down on him there late, was the cause for pushing him back a little further at the finish.
Did he burn it off? Was the tire burn off?
He didn't. No, it was not. So that's what was wild, was it had plenty of tread on it all across it.
Mm-hmm.
I did get to see that. What I never got a chance to look at, I never got a chance to look at the sidewall, and I never got a chance to really see if they bent the wheel, maybe knocked it off the bead, if it was a wheel,
right?
You know, if it was a screwed up wheel that did it. I couldn't tell that. I tried, and then we had to go back green so quick, and then the race was over. So I didn't go as in depth there as I wanted.
All right, there you have it. That's Trenton Berry from RacingDirt.com. You can always watch OCRS races, ASCS National Tour races on RacingDirt.com.
They got rained out in the ASCS National Tour last night at Rush County, but 81 Speedway is still on. They had ASCS Sooner Region down at Creek County Speedway last night.
Sean McClellan wins.
The man,
yeah.
Sean McClellan.
Yeah.
Picks up the feature winner last night, but everything looks good for 81 Speedway
Did it in pretty
tonight.
dominating fashion, too, by the way. Did you watch that race?
I did not see that. So he's won a national tour race this year.
Yeah, he has. Mm-hmm.
Creek County, that's always an exciting place to watch.
He's good at Round Creek.
Yeah.
That's where he cut his teeth when he was young and when he first started driving sprint cars, and that's why he's so good around there.
They ought to have a pretty good show down at 81 tonight, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Had some pretty good action around that racetrack, so look forward to keeping tabs on what happens tonight. Last week, they've had 3 straight rainouts in the ASCS National Tour. Last weekend got wiped out. Batesville, Arkansas on Saturday night, and the night before that, the feature at Thunderbird, and then last night at Rush County, so hopefully Mother Nature cooperate with them tonight at 81.
I got to wrap it up. I've got to go to a baby shower today.
I got to go to Iowa.
Yeah. All right, so let's get out of here. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to Track Talk this morning. It's all been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. They're going to be racing August 5th down at Nevada. Last night at Electric City, Kenny Bowers picked up the win last night, right?
Yeah.
Down there.
He did.
Electric City Speedway.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to check out the Hall of Fame
Don't
tonight.
point at me, Kurt. Don't point at me.
I'm going to check out the Hall of Fame tonight, the Williams Grove exhibit. Finally get a look at that tonight.
Yep.
So that get signed up for the raffle sprint car and the Corvette. We're getting down to it with the Corvette. That's going to be August 19th.
They're going to be giving away that 2023 Z06 Corvette on August 19th. They're going to give you $25,000 in cash as well. It's a 760 horsepower 5.5 LT6 V8 engine. Goes from 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, 8-speed automatic, and it's got the big brakes on it. It's got the big, the larger tires on it. It's a real race car on the road, and if you want to have a chance to win this Corvette, all you need to do is go to winazo6corvette.com. That's winazo6corvette.com, and they're going to be giving that away on August 19, 2023, the week after the Knoxville Nationals. Is that correct, Kurt?
That's right.
Right.
Saturday, August 19th is when they'll draw for it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I can't wait. I'm going to buy some tickets myself, and I hope I win that car. You think you win it, Kurt?
We can always try.
We can always try.
So, yeah, I'll put in some tickets for that tonight, as a matter of fact.
All right. Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Before you leave, hang on. You asked me to remind that golf tournament is coming up there at the
the golf tournament up at the
You reminded me we got to get that in today. The Jason Deach Custom Coach Golf Classic presented by Sage Fruits in memory of Kevin Gobrick. That is coming up. That is going to be on what is the date on that? Friday, August 11th. 9 a.m. shotgun start at the Bob Landon Golf Club in Pella. $90 per person, $360 per foursome. And if you want to know more information about that, go to sprintcargolf.com or call 1-800-874-4488. 1-800-874-4488 for more information about that coming up on August the 11th.
All right, there you have it. Get up there, and I just bought a Pella window sliding glass door for my my house. Pella.
I don't hear the sliding now.
No.
Down here. You could used to hear down here in our studio, you slide that door. We could hear that. We don't hear that anymore, right?
Right, no doubt.
Good.
Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor. We'll see you next week.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.